Okay.
It works. Okay, because this is my first time doing this, and I wasn't sure like how do I go live
That's the first time I'm live on YouTube. I've never done that, like
on YouTube.
being a
Yeah,
guest. Yeah.
yeah. Because I think they rolled out this feature. Well, for me, I think it was pretty recently, and so I don't know how it works, but I thought I'd give it a try. So
How are
yeah.
you? Thanks.
All right. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. What about you?
Yes, and I can hear you okay, and you can see me okay, right?
Yes, yes.
Let me move my tripod back a little bit.
Yeah.
All
Yeah, I'm
right.
trying to. I hope it doesn't fall.
Oh, you're a tripod?
Yeah, I'm on the tripod too, so I was just trying to,
Oh, okay.
yeah, but it's not over something really stable.
Oh, I see, I see. Okay. All right. If I see you like
Yeah.
tip over, then I'll know.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see. Let me see if I can, I'm not sure if we have anybody join, but let me see if I can see the chat.
Mhm.
Um, it's okay. If nobody joins, then we'll have a good chat, and then I'll just save it and then
No,
I
that
can
yeah,
watch
no, that is
it.
okay because I shared there and also like on my personal account and then on the other one. So we'll see. I think that's
Yeah,
really interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Same here. So we'll see. Let me see here. Yeah, because I was like going on YouTube to see how everything works, but it seems like they're like I don't know how many versions they have, but the one that I checked on my phone, it seems like it's slightly different than like the
Mhm.
layout and everything. It's different from what I see on like, the YouTube videos, the help videos. So
Mhm.
I'm like I'm trying to find things and I'm like, I don't know where it is, but all right. Anyway, how have you
That's
been? It's
okay.
been so long. I feel
I
like it's been really long.
know. Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's been so long and I felt so bad because like, oh my God, April and it just time flew and I was like, oh no. But
Yeah.
I'm glad that you could still have me here, and because
Yeah.
yeah,
No, no,
that's
'cause I figure you're probably just busy. I know we're all busy with our, stuff and I
yeah.
remember I
But
think I chatted with you a while back. Like I think it was earlier this year. I know you were going through some changes and so I thought,
mhm.
you probably need some time and so I didn't want to like
Yeah.
Juliana, do you want to do this live?
No,
I thought
and
you
yeah,
were
and I wasn't there. We took a break a little bit. Now we are just like we're going back because I miss it. I really miss it, like doing the lives and everything.
yeah.
So glad. So that's like a comeback.
Yeah. Awesome. And it was good to see you. I know you like posted something. I think it was
Yeah,
earlier this week. Yeah, I haven't been that active as well on there, so just taking it easy and doing a
yeah,
lot of reflection lately. So trying to, yeah, like kind of readjust stuff here. So I haven't been as
yeah,
active as well. So yeah. Okay. Well, shall we dive in and
yeah. Sure,
okay,
sure.
so well, first, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. After I saw your reply, I was like, "Yay, Juliana's agreed to do this." So thank you very much. I know you're busy with your stuff as well. So
No, yeah, I really enjoy those kind of conversation because I think now also it changed a little bit my
mhm,
reality. So I'm able to, share more about, what it's like living here.
right,
So yeah.
right, yeah. And I feel because I think it was one of the live that you did with I think it was with your mom and there was two other
Hmm.
people. I think that you guys were talking. I don't remember what the live
Oh,
was,
yes. We
but
were talking to a student. She was here as a
two.
student, and the
Yeah.
other one, she lives in Pittsburgh, and she moved here
Huh.
working as like a housewife, her husband moved here to the US, so it was a completely different reality. And then we also had the students, the international students. So that was the life. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, it was that one. And I
Yeah.
remember you guys were talking about one of the students was sharing how I think there was that expectation before she came to the US. And the reality, like
Yeah.
what she's facing. I thought that is just so real, right? It's so authentic.
It is. It
Um,
is.
and so I thought, yeah, that I thought this would be a good opportunity to invite you on and to talk a little bit about your experience because I know everybody's experiences are different. So,
Yes, yes, definitely. I mean, if you want to be easier, you can even um ask me. I'm not sure. I took notes of some of the things.
hmm,
Like just to for me not to rumble and just like you know,
it's okay.
to
I do
to
it too.
focus,
Okay.
to focus.
Yeah. Because I
Yeah.
feel like you might say something and I probably will have like question for you. So we'll probably
But
maybe
sure, no problem. Yeah,
yeah,
really
okay.
casual
Okay,
kind of
sounds
thing.
good. Okay.
Yes.
Let me see. Are you able to see the chat from your end or no?
Yeah, so I'm able to see like an icon here, but
Oh, okay, because
I'm
I
not
don't
sure. Like
know.
live chat, all messages are visible,
Because when
but
I click that live chat, I don't see the chat box.
I can see it on my
Oh, you
end.
can?
I don't.
Okay.
Yeah, thus
I'll
I put it
turn
like
it
all
on.
messages are visible. But I don't know. Welcome to
Oh,
live chat. Remember to guard your privacy.
okay,
I'm
because
not
on
sure.
my
There's
are you going live on your phone or
on my phone.
on your
Yeah.
phone? Okay, same here, but it's like all I see is just me and you. I don't see the
I
chat
don't know
box.
why would I have it on you. This yeah,
I know, I
if you're the
figure I was
host.
yeah,
Yeah,
and I
but what I can see, yeah, I can see that
okay.
there's one might have like one person. I'm not sure if I can see here who joined. But I put it here like all messages are visible, so I don't know. I think
Oh,
probably
really? Okay.
yeah, I also share with my
Oh,
family. I'm not sure if they're gonna join.
okay. Well, maybe then I'll have you monitor the chat box then.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
yeah,
so far, yes, I can see.
okay.
Yeah, top. Yeah, I put it like live chat. We'll see. I
Yeah,
think,
okay. Okay, for
yes.
some reason I can't pull it up. So, okay.
Yeah,
Alrighty. Well, I guess before we get into all the good stuff, I'll have you. Oh, there we go. Okay, I can see the chat now.
yeah, my mom. Yeah, so
Oh,
she.
I see. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right. So I
Yeah,
guess I'll have you just talk a little bit, introduce yourself, and give a little bit of background and the
sure.
context, and then we'll um, talk about the good stuff.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm just gonna tell like in a nutshell like what brought me here because I feel like a lot of people ask me those questions here when they know you're a foreigner. What brought you here?
Okay.
Um, so, hi guys, I'm Juliana. I'm originally from Brazil. I come from a big city, São Paulo, and I moved to the US. I live in New Jersey, and I've been here almost 8 years. A pretty long time already.
Yeah.
And I moved here actually on a fiance visa. I think some of you might have heard of the show 90 Day Fiance Visa. I'm not sure if you've heard.
Oh, I've
Uh,
never.
yeah, it's a reality show. I've never watched it, but
Oh,
some people, yeah. So I came here on a fiance visa. So I got married, and I used to be married. So yeah, pretty much it. So that was the reason why I moved to the US for someone else. Yes.
okay. And this is 8 years ago. I remember when we first met on Instagram. I was that when you first came to the US, or you've been to the US for
I
a while?
think it was, yeah, I think when I created
Uh-huh.
the other account, English with Brazilian Flavor, was right at the beginning. I think I was here in the first year, and I was like, I don't know anybody here. So that was the whole idea of creating the account, was like, I need to meet other teachers. I need to meet other people. I was so isolated.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
and I think that was one of my questions that I'm gonna ask you to talk a little bit about the making friends part. So
Yeah.
we'll get to that a little bit
Yeah.
later. Okay, so um, prior to coming or moving to the US, like when you were in Brazil, um, what did you have any expectations, when after coming to the US, or was there stuff that you were hearing, like maybe from like watching from movies or hearing people talk about that, kind of form your perception of what it's like living in the US, or what the US is like, and then, what is the reality after you move
Oh my God. Yeah.
to the US? Was it a big difference, or was it about the same?
Yeah, I think that did not really have any high expectations,
Mm,
because before I moved here, I came to the US to study, like those exchange programs. So I used to come to visit, my ex-husband, and then I used to stay and travel. So I kind of had an idea
mm,
what was like. But so I never really was like, oh, it's gonna be like the movies. No, I've always been down to earth, so I knew it had its problems, and it was different from the problems from my home country. But I knew it was not like perfection. I knew that.
mm,
So, but there are things that, like I think what was definitely a shock for me, that I thought it would not be very hard, was like moving to a small town.
oh, okay.
Like I had like sort of like not expectation, but I like, okay, I can still work, do the same thing I was doing in Brazil, and I can live. That's gonna be okay. Live in a small town, no problem. So when I came here, that was like, wow, that is
Mm,
super hard, and I struggle a lot,
mm,
because I thought like, okay, I cannot work as a teacher. What am I gonna do? So like, I think that was like my expectations were mostly about, okay, I can still keep having the same life, the same kind of job, and that's gonna be okay.
mm,
And when I came, reality hit in, and I was like, hit, and I was like, oh my God.
mhm.
Yeah.
So when you were in Brazil, were you also teaching as well, or did you have a different profession when you were in Brazil? Or
Yeah, I used to work for myself as a teacher.
okay, in Brazil?
So, yeah, in Brazil, I was an English teacher there, and I was pretty much working for myself. So I had a pretty
Mm,
good base of clients, and I have pretty much my life was mostly established in Brazil before I moved to the US. So I was
mm,
renting my own place. So I
uh-huh.
had my business. So I think um, I kind of had the expectation I could be doing the same thing and things would be the same. That was
Mm,
not that I had higher expectations, but I kind of thought like, okay,
mhm,
I'm gonna be able to do the same thing.
mhm.
But no.
Okay, so then it
Yeah.
was because the town that you were living in New Jersey was a small town, and that there's a certain limitations. Like,
Yeah.
okay. Um,
Yeah.
my going back to what you were saying earlier, so you said you visited the US prior to like officially moving. So you didn't really have that. that, like shock or like culture shock or
Yeah.
anything. But
No.
usually, like if you visit a place just for like a short-term stay, you go with like a tourist mindset. It's quite different from when you actually move right to
Yeah.
the country and become a citizen there and make your living there. So was there that little gap? Like, was there the difference, like that mindset as a tourist versus after you've formally moved? Or
Yeah.
was it about the same? Like,
I think that when I was, since I came to study, I
mhm.
kind of experience was like I was living in the suburbs, but I was in the big city. So I like that. Everything you walk, you get public transportation. So I felt like, okay, that's going to be nice. And then I come from a big city. So when I moved to a small
Mhm.
town, I
Mhm.
thought that's they're going to have public transportation. I thought that in terms of I would be able to get around easily, just like in a big city. And then we did the first 6 months, I was like, oh my God, I need to rely on people for everything. No sidewalks, and I couldn't get a bus because there was no bus line. If
Ah,
that was limited, so I was like, okay,
yeah.
that's completely different from what I thought
Mhm.
because the small towns in Brazil have better public transportation than here in the US. So
Oh.
I think I was kind of pretty much the expectations. Okay, it's gonna be the same thing as in Brazil, the small towns. So I
Uh-huh.
think that was like the big difference. Coming as a tourist, I was in the bigger cities. I was in Philadelphia,
All right. Okay.
and I would come here to the small town, but it's not the same as living. So if you are just traveling, going with people, staying for a short period of time, you don't feel, you don't struggle because you don't know what it's like to live in the
That's exactly
place.
what I was
Yeah,
thinking too. Yeah,
yeah.
it's quite different. Which small town? What town was it that you were living in when you
I
moved?
Yeah, I was living in a small town in the south of New Jersey, so it was
Oh,
not like very, very small, but
mhm.
since it was really spread it out,
Mhm.
um, most of the places where I was living, there were no sidewalks, so it was close to big avenues. So it's not like you could walk and go
Yeah.
to places. So like if you needed to go to the pharmacy, you will not be able to
Mhm.
walk there. So
Mm.
those kind of things that I felt like, okay, I need to go to the pharmacy, I need to go to a grocery store. You needed a
Mhm.
car
Yeah.
because they were far away. So yeah, so the city was, and there was no bus line where
Could
I was
you
living.
Was Uber and Lyft
Yeah.
the thing at
Yeah,
the time?
Uber. I rely on Uber
Oh, you
all the
do.
time. Yes, yes. I
I think it's
was
quite expensive.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, they are. I mean, I was even impressed that where I was, that was a big number of Uber drivers because depending on the town,
Huh.
sometimes you might not get Uber drivers.
Right.
So,
Right.
but yeah, but in general, that kind of limits me to do things. Like I
Mm.
enjoy doing things. I was pretty independent in Brazil, so
Mm-hmm.
being a small town, relying on people to take me to places all the time, it kind of
Mm-hmm.
like that was I struggle a lot with that, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And especially like if you live, before in Philadelphia and in São Paulo, you're probably very independent, going out, doing things
yeah,
whenever you want to, and now you're kind of stranded in a small town.
yeah,
Okay,
yes.
so was there like how long did it take you to kind of get used to things and to
Um,
slowly kind of feel like you're settled and that you're able to, at least kind of be in control of
yeah.
things and you're able to do things and
A little bit more than a year. I think I would
uh,
say the first few, the first 6 months, I still could not work, right? I
Mm-hmm.
did not have work authorization, so and so
Mm-hmm.
it took me 6 months to be able to work, to find a job. But I would say to really, really settle down and got used to probably 2018, probably
Okay.
I would say 1 year and a half, 2 years to really say, okay, I live here. I'm gonna Uber to places. I'm gonna get a
Mm-hmm.
ride. That's my life here. I have to figure it out. So I would say
Mm-hmm.
it probably took me 2 years to really settle down and say like, okay, that's
Okay.
my life. Yeah.
Right.
So it took me some time, um, because I did not plan either enough before moving.
Right.
So that was something that I had to figure out here.
Mm. After. Okay.
Yes, like
Um,
living the life.
right. And like during this 2 years, like I'm sure like mentally sometimes it can be very difficult. Did you do something like when when you're homesick or when you were kind of feeling like kind of down?
Yeah.
Like how did you do
Yeah.
anything to kind of keep yourself positive and motivated?
Yes. I I think that since I came, I'm not sure if you remember Rocky. That was my dog. I brought him
Uh-huh.
from Brazil with me. So he and I
Oh,
came from Brazil to move to the US.
uh-huh.
So Rocky was pretty much my strength
Mhm.
and like during that time,
Mhm.
because it was something that I had with me. So like sometimes people say, "Oh, a dog can help you so much. A pet can help you so much go through things." And I felt like he was the one. I was dealing with a lot of things because I could not work, and then I have to
Mhm.
find a job completely different from my field in order to
Mhm.
make money. So I had to give
Mhm.
up from teaching. So that was a lot for me. And then I was not
Mhm.
emotionally supported, not
Mhm.
financially supported. So I did
Mhm.
not have that person here in the US helping me, unfortunately, like we need. And
Mhm.
then being homesick. So I think what really helped me was like, okay, let me walk my dog and maybe find ways to relax. And then I started working and I started meeting people. So that's when things start getting a little bit better. But I felt so isolated in the first two
Mhm.
years.
Mhm.
Um, and my family was not here. And I couldn't go to Brazil either because,
Mhm. Was it
so
you
I
got?
would say like the first two years and a half was like the worst.
Okay.
Definitely the worst, the
Mhm.
the ones I struggled the most. I did not have the honeymoon phase that most people have. As
Yeah.
I think I'm having the honeymoon phase right now.
Oh,
But
after.
like after so like most people, oh, it's amazing. No,
Yeah.
I think I've had probably the first 2 years and a half were the toughest for me. So I've never really had, oh, it's amazing here. No, it was a struggle from day one. So yeah.
Mhm. Okay.
Yes.
So like I feel like now maybe with internet it's a little bit easier. At least you can like did you try to call like use internet or
Yes.
to connect with
Yeah.
people back home? Like yeah, I feel like years before the internet age, I think it's much more difficult.
Oh my God. I can't even, like, would have been like sending a letter. That would have
Yeah,
been so
snail
hard.
mail. Yeah.
Yeah. Or like,
Um,
but yeah. And I also, my mom, I think she visited me in the
oh,
second year. So that
mm,
was definitely something that made me like, okay, I have someone here with me.
mm,
So it took her 2 years to be. So since I couldn't go, she came to
mhm,
visit us. So that was amazing. So that really gave me sort of like some direction. Okay, my mom is here. I have someone from my family. I can connect to my culture. So
mhm,
that
mhm,
definitely helped me
mhm,
in those first years that I struggle. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, it's comforting when you know that somebody that you can trust is like next to you and
Yes.
to like support
Yes.
you. Um, so with that very, very first time when you came to the US, was there like a first impression of something that you still remember till this day? Like
Like
whether it be like
something
yeah, like traffic or I don't know, or the people or certain
I
places that
something good or bad?
either one.
I think
Something
I
that
think I was so yeah, I think I was so fascinated by Philadelphia. I think that
oh,
I love Philadelphia. I don't know, people talk about most Brazilians are fascinated by New York. I am not. I'm not a
um,
fan of New York at all. But I
uh-huh,
feel like the first time I went to Philadelphia I was like, I love this place. It's so
uh,
historical. That's a little bit of a big city,
mm,
but it's not as big as New York. So they have like a nice vibe, and I was like, I kind of felt like I love this place, and
so
it
you
was
fell in
so
love.
different from New Jersey. I was like, why
Mm.
I didn't come to this place instead of New Jersey? I didn't. Yeah. So I mean, nothing against the small towns, but I feel like when you're so used to the big, what a big city can offer, and I feel like I fell in love with the big cities. I still see myself. I'm still
Mm.
gonna be there one day.
Um, and São Paulo is
Yeah.
it's a huge city, right? São Paulo, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. Whenever I go there, I'm like, oh, I love São Paulo. Even though it has so many problems everywhere, I think I never really thought that US was perfect. I knew there were issues in each kind of place because we talk to people, right? Because of the internet, so you get to know places and people.
Right, right.
So yeah,
And
definitely.
you didn't get to do much research, like you just kind of you were. I mean, for all the other
Yeah,
circumstances, you didn't have a choice,
I
but
wish.
yeah.
I wish I had done it. I wish I had done like a test drive. I
Ah,
think that like if someone has the opportunity to before moving
mm,
to okay, like on a tourist visa, maybe if I
mhm,
had done it stay here for 3 months in the small
mhm,
town to see what it's like getting
mhm.
around. If I have lived and experienced that, I would probably would have thought tell like my ex and say, I don't want to move to a small town
Ah,
because I would have known what it's like even if I were just staying. I think 3 months is perfect for you to get to know like a place that you know what it's gonna be like getting around that place, even though you're not able to work.
right.
But so I feel like if you're planning to move to the US, please do research. Do
Mhm,
research, come prepare. I did not.
mhm,
So I was here. I was like, oh my God, I have to
mhm,
do this. I didn't know
mhm,
I need to have this. Oh, I didn't know. So it's always good for you to know what you need to do within the first 6 months. Okay, what am I going to need to do in the first year here? So
right.
it was a lot of things at the same time. So I was so overwhelmed and
Mhm,
stressed out all the time. So
mhm.
I think I wish I had done the test.
Very-
I'll
mhm.
definitely do if I relocate somewhere else
Are
next
you
time.
right now? Are you still in Jersey, or are you?
Yeah,
Okay, you're still in Jersey.
yeah. But since I work remotely, I really been thinking about eventually find a place in Philadelphia. Yeah, that's where I
Oh,
want to go
back to
because it's so
Philadelphia.
close. But I feel like I've been going there all the time now to visit a
Um,
friend. I say maybe I should just get a place here.
is it
Yeah.
how long is the drive from Philadelphia
Um.
to Jersey?
Ye- um. Now I'm farther, but it's about 30 minutes. It's not
Oh,
bad.
that's not
Yeah.
bad.
So where? Yeah. So where I'm located, I'm closer to Philadelphia than New York. New York is 2 hours
Mm.
from here.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, it's very far, New York.
And
Or
you
1 hour and a
visited
half.
to New York?
Yeah,
Okay.
1 hour and a half, I would say.
Mm.
Yeah.
is that with traffic or without traffic?
Maybe without.
Oh, without. Okay. Is traffic
Maybe
terrible
with,
over
yeah. I would never drive to New York. Never. That's crazy.
there? Even
I'm still getting used to Philadelphia. When I'm in Philadelphia,
uh,
parking, find parking, and
oh my
driving, people
goodness.
are insane. I was
Yeah.
like, I get so stressed out. I was like, oh my God. That's
Uh,
why if I live here, gotta live in a place that I gotta walk. Because
yeah.
I'm not planning to
Yeah.
drive
Walking
every day.
distance.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine because we're in California here. Like if we go to downtown LA, I think finding parking could be easily like probably 30 minutes to an hour if it's like,
Oh
during
my
the
God.
weekend.
So yeah, so it might be the
So,
same. Oh my God. Yeah, I think every big city.
yeah.
Yes.
And you visited New York before, right? I remember you did.
I did. I did. I went there a couple of times, few times. Not a fan. I prefer São Paulo. I don't know what people are so fascinated by it, but
Uh-huh.
I like São Paulo vibes so much better than New York. I don't know, New York.
Um,
New York.
yeah,
I
New
like
York is.
historical cities. I like historical
Mm,
cities. I like going to places where, in Philadelphia, the streets are wider than
mhm.
New York. They're like narrow, so like you're
Mm,
like touching people. Like in summer is horrible. So
yeah, and I think people drive crazy in New York as well.
someone was asking if we are American. I'm Brazilian, not American. Yes. Well,
Um,
U.S. citizen counts. Actually, yeah,
yeah, you did end up getting the citizenship, right? I
yeah,
remember the last time
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
been a year already. Time
Has it
flies.
been?
Yeah.
Wow, time flies. Oh, it was it last year this time around uh
Yeah.
oh my
Yeah, yeah, it
gosh.
was around this time. You're so right. It was like around this week.
Oh, well, happy US citizenship year
I
anniversary.
know.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Yeah,
Thank you.
I remember you sharing you taking the test and going for the
Yeah. That was
ceremony.
exciting, like to get to know more about the history. I had no idea, but
Mm,
now I feel like okay, now I know a little bit more. That's
yeah,
important.
right, right.
Yes,
That's
definitely. Yeah.
awesome. Okay, well, let me see. I know I had a few other question that I wanted to ask you. I think from just like talking to people and also from my personal experience, and you touched upon this earlier about coming to the States and not knowing anybody and creating the Instagram account
Yeah.
and trying to meet new people. Can you share a little bit about like how you went about doing that? I guess creating that online social media account was one way, but like for people who are in a new country or in this case in the U.S. And I guess
Mhm.
every state is a little bit different too. Like the people are
Yes.
different too. So I guess you can talk about just in New Jersey or Philadelphia, like how like did you have to force yourself, push yourself to go out and make new friends, and or like what did you do to um,
Yeah.
connect with people?
That was very hard. I feel like New Jersey people, I'm not sure about other, but I feel like New Jersey and Philly,
Mhm.
there are not really much differences in terms of, I feel like it was really hard to make friends.
Mm,
I'm a shy person, but in Brazil, I used to be friends with my neighbors, and we used to do things together. It's like meeting, hey, let's grab a beer together. We just met. That's that, like because we Brazilians were like that. And
people
in
are
New
friendly.
Jersey, they
Mhm.
are more sort of like a little bit more distance. Like they can greet you, they can say, hey, let's do something, but it's not like right it away. They
Right.
give you that space for you just like start asking a lot of questions and like
Mhm.
being invited to have lunch at their house. So it did take me a long time for me to make friends, build a
Mm.
relationship with a friend, right? And say, okay, I'm going to be going out with that person. It took me probably 2 years,
Mm. Mhm.
maybe a year for me to say, okay, I met this person. Now we can become friends. We can form a friendship. It took me pretty like some time, probably 2 years, for me to
Okay.
start like hanging out and doing things with people because at first people would talk to you. I had a
Mm.
dog, so it was easy to meet people in my neighborhood,
Okay.
So having a dog, having a pet, or having kids really enables you to meet more people, especially if you have a kid, because they can join sports, right? You can be a soccer
Mm.
mom, you can go. So that's probably much easier than
Yeah.
having pets. But I
Right.
met a lot of neighbors, but meeting is one thing. Another thing is for you to really to start chatting and getting to know the person better, asking questions. So it was really in New Jersey. I felt they're not as friendly. I'm not
Mm.
trying to judge anybody here. It takes time. It just takes time. So I had to be very patient.
Mm. Mhm.
And be very patient and really like
Put yourself out there.
so yes, I actually forced like I didn't really feel comfortable much
Mm.
going to places. I was completely surrounded by Americans. I was the only Brazilian. I was the only foreigner in the group of
Mm.
friends, holiday occasions, friends, events, because I was married to all American friends. So
Mm.
I pretty much had to force myself to go to these places and interact with people I've never talked before. And for me, it
Mm.
was like, it's
Mhm.
different. What am I gonna do? So I
Mm.
felt so formal, so awkward all the time in the parties. But I said like, I have to go. I have to push myself. I used to have like, okay, today I have a party. What kind of questions I'm gonna ask? So
Oh.
I would just like think, okay, I'm meeting that person. We have a friend in common. So before the party, before I knew I would have the party, say, what kind of questions can I ask to make small talk with a person, to get to know
Mm.
this person?
Mhm.
So, and then I start going to a lot of places and I start talking to people,
Mhm. Mhm.
interacting with people, and like, hey, introducing myself and joining a group. That was like terrifying for me, but I was like, okay, I gotta do this. So
Mm.
that was of my way. I
Mhm.
created this way not only to practice my conversational skills, but also feel vulnerable. Okay, I'm the only foreigner. No problem. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna speak with Americans.
Mhm.
Um, so that helped me a lot, like
Mhm.
to get me out of my comfort zone. Because if I were with Brazilians all the time, if
You.
I as I would not even try to interact with Americans.
Yeah.
So that kind of like made me understand, okay, I how can I not feel like an outsider all the time?
Right.
How can I mingle and interact with these people?
Mhm.
And it wasn't that bad. After some time, I started making some friends. I
Yeah.
started going out with I met some people at a wedding. And of course, I made more friends at work.
Yes.
Mm.
That's usually easier to, because you're there with them, what, almost 8 hours
Oh, yes.
a
And
day,
like,
and yeah.
especially if we used to have lunch all the time together. So I start making friends, and one of them was like my neighbor. We found out we live
Mm.
like 10 minutes from each other.
Mm.
And
Uh-huh.
then she was the one, she's from Ohio. I think that was so easy to make friends, to be friends with her, because
Mm.
people from Ohio, they are much more, I feel like, more open, more friendly. And she was also the outsider in New Jersey. So I kind of felt like in some way we connected because she moved to New Jersey, got married in New Jersey to an American, but she was like, okay, I'm the only one from Ohio.
Uh,
So we kind of connected in that way, and we are still friends, you know. So like, yeah, she's one of my best friends here, actually.
okay.
My best American friends, I will say. Yeah.
So would you say like if let's say there's somebody that, their English is not that good, but they want to make friends, like what advice would you
Mm.
give them to? Because I
In
feel
that
like,
case, yeah.
a
Mhm.
lot of people, they want to make friends because they're in a foreign country, they want to make friends. But then like what
Mhm.
you were saying earlier, you didn't want to make friends with like other Brazilians, but to kind of, push yourself out of
Didn't have any
comfort zone.
Brazilians where I lived, so I was forced
To
to
make friends with
yes,
like, people from different cultures or Americans. So like I feel like
yeah.
that's something that's very difficult for a lot of people because of the language
Mhm.
barrier. And on top of
Yes.
that, they don't have the confidence to
Um.
speak, and then they're afraid that people won't want to be their friends.
Yeah, so I think for someone who does not speak English or just speak English a little bit, I would suggest taking an ESL class or
Mm,
joining an English course in person, maybe at a college or maybe depending on where you are, because a lot of community colleges, small
mhm,
colleges, they offer ESL classes, even if you're not studying at the college. That would be a good one where you can meet other foreigners who are on the same level as you are, and you could start making some friends.
mhm, mhm.
Or at the library, sometimes they offer like free ESL classes, English classes at the library
Yeah.
or at the local library. Or I use a website at the beginning too,
Uh-huh.
because I felt like, okay, I know Americans, but I wanted to meet people that were also immigrants. So I felt like I want to
Mm,
meet someone else who's
mhm,
immigrant, who's here that I can connect with.
mhm,
So that was this. I went to Meetup,
mhm.
meetup.com, guys. It's a really good website where you can create a profile. You can find groups of people who share the same interests as you.
Okay.
So I went there. I found a group of immigrant women in the town I was living. So
Okay.
I was like, okay, I don't know anybody. They were from all over the world. So they used to get together, practice English. They used to have like these in-person meetings. That was way before pandemic.
Hmm.
People from all ages. Huh? They also had Americans who were learning other languages. So I felt like, okay, I don't know anybody, but I'm gonna go. So I
Mm,
went to their first meeting, super
mhm,
shy, so like, but it was amazing. It was like a Christmas party. So you had to
mhm.
buy a gift to someone you don't know who it
Yeah.
is. But it was amazing because I felt like, oh my God, I'm not the only immigrant here. I met people from Japan, from China, from Africa, Mexico, and Germany, and I was like, wow, that's another tribe I can have. I
Mhm,
can, and I went to most of their meetings.
uh-huh.
But now I live far away, so I cannot go. But sometimes they have online meetings.
Mhm,
So I would say, like, for people who is still not feeling comfortable with their English, I would try this route,
mhm, mhm.
meeting other foreigners instead of just going there and meeting American, because they might not feel as comfortable. And yeah, sometimes some Americans, they are not patient
Yeah.
when you don't speak English that well. But I would definitely try. Do not speak with people that speak your language. Try to make friends with people that speak a completely different language, because that helped me. I met a
Mhm.
Brazilian through the
Read it?
international group.
Oh,
Huh?
okay.
That was
Yeah.
the first Brazilian I met. So I
Uh-huh.
think that was in the I think I met the group in the first 2 years. So
Oh,
I
okay.
start like going out more, and I think it's necessary for us. We
Mhm.
don't want to feel like we are the only immigrant. We are the only foreigner. So I feel like you can meet people from other cultures, kind of help.
Right. Right.
Yes,
Okay. Good advice. Yeah,
definitely.
I agree with that because I think finding that common interest is
Yeah.
very well. It's easier to strike up a conversation, and you can keep the conversation going.
Yes.
Right. And the other thing you mentioned was like just finding like local like ESL classes or going to the library or
Yeah.
um,
Local libraries, they
uh,
have so much stuff, so many
yeah,
events that you
yeah,
can meet
events.
people.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because I feel like a
definitely.
lot of times people are like, oh, I need to go out and talk to, native speakers or Americans, but then, they get hit with this reality like, oh, well, people don't,
And they not gonna be like sharing all about their lives at the first moment you meet them. They're gonna be very general most of
yeah,
the time. Yeah, it's like mostly small talk. They're
right.
not gonna be like, "Oh, my family," and no.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a bit different. But I would definitely say like try not to be in your comfort zone all the
Mm-hmm,
time.
mm-hmm,
And I definitely was not in my comfort zone. So I'm in some way I'm glad I was not really close to a Brazilian community as first as I
mm-hmm,
moved here, because
mm-hmm,
then I would stick with being around Brazilians all the time and not allow myself to get to know the local culture, to really understand what is like, making friends with them, interacting with them, getting to know more about Americans,
mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Those are, yeah, great advices. I think those are great advice that people, if are like struggling to
Yes.
find people to practice. Like we always say, oh, go out and find people to practice English with.
It's so hard.
Um, it's hard, right? And so I feel like
Yeah.
there's that step, like baby steps, and like I think the other thing is, for people who are more shy and or
Yes.
not as extroverted, it's hard to push
It
yourself to go
is.
out there and get out of your comfort zone, but I feel like that's
Yeah.
necessary. um
Yeah. That,
but,
yeah. I mean, it is because, to be honest, if you don't speak English here, I
mhm,
mean, you're gonna feel like this void, you're always gonna feel like, if you're here to move here, you have to learn how to speak English. You cannot think, okay, someone will always be there. Sometimes you're
mhm,
not gonna have anybody. You got an emergency. What are you gonna do? So we always have to think about what if something happens,
mhm,
And
mhm.
there are a lot of foreigners depending on where you're living. So that website is pretty good.
Yeah.
I
Oh, they
use
even
it even to I used to practice my Spanish too.
it's you said it's meetup.com, right?
Yes, meetup.com. I think
I'll leave it in the description.
and this is all over the world. I told my sister like join
Hmm.
in São Paulo and see where they have like book club, people who are like single and want to meet each other.
Hmm.
I joined another one. It was in about Spanish, people that were learning Spanish.
Mhm, mhm,
um Another one that was learning Portuguese, so I was there to help out. So I joined a lot of those language groups because I wanted to be able to meet new people through language. Yes.
mhm. Okay. Yeah, so I
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be good to type. Can I type it? I'm not sure if I'm able. I think only you.
oh
It's
I can
like
I can type it. All right.
meetup.com. Yeah,
Okay.
and you can pretty much you can just put where you live, and you're gonna be able to find what kind of groups you have where you live.
Locally, yeah.
So, yeah, so the website is MEET. Are you able to write it?
I can't even get that chat box up.
Okay, so
Oh,
yes, I'm gonna spell it. It's M. Oh, wait, I know, but if I put it on the paper, it's gonna be on the other. I hate like this, right?
yeah.
But it's gonna
I'll
be
leave
on the
it.
other way. Meet
It's gonna be the
up
backward. But I
episode.
will
Yeah.
at the end of the live. I'll leave it down in the description
It's
box
gonna
for
be
you.
the
Uh,
meetup.com.
dot yeah, meetup.com.
Yes. Meetup.com. She's gonna leave it here, but it's great. I'm actually was trying to join again to see if there were any groups of people like
Mm.
divorced people who wants to
Oh,
hang out. Like so you can
yeah.
find people who have the same lifestyle, the same
Mhm.
interests, and people who love cars. Yeah, you can find anything. Sometimes you're
Mhm.
shocked to say, wait, do they have a group for that?
I think for everything, anything that you can think of, there's probably a group of
Yes.
people out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I used to tell this to the ESL students when I was working at the college. They wanted, I don't know anybody, and I
Mm.
used to recommend that group
Mm, mhm.
that I joined for them,
Mm, mhm, mhm.
so they could
Yeah,
meet other people.
yeah, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, I think
yes,
finding that
definitely.
your interest or your hobby and then connecting with people through that is
Yes,
much easier too.
yes. I mean,
Right.
it's definitely something. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
good one.
Well, what I think we're almost an hour into this. I'm gonna wrap it up, but I do have a couple more questions for you before we
Yes,
wrap it up. But
sure.
was there when you like the English that you learned when you were in Brazil? Did you feel that after coming to the US and when you had to use English to, for work or to socialize, did you feel like there was any difference in, like learning using the English that you learned? I don't know, where did you learn it, like in a school or, like the
Mm-hmm.
was there any
Um,
difference there? And like how did you build your confidence after? Because I'm sure,
okay.
when you're learning and when you're actually using English in real life, it's
Yeah.
quite different.
Yeah. For me, it was a little bit different because I've always liked English.
Mm.
So I was super motivated. I took private lessons. So
Oh.
that was a complete, I hated doing group classes. I was like, I wanted to learn. So when I started learning English with a teacher, he was British actually. I was learning
Oh.
American English with a British guy.
Uh-huh.
And so my mom paid for the lesson. So when I started, I was my listening was pretty good because I used to watch a lot of movies and write it
Mm.
down. I used to do a lot of like vocabulary. I used to get like the phrases. Oh, what are you talking about? And I used to imitate them. So my
Mm.
listening was, I never had issues with listening.
Mm.
So when I started taking lessons, I was going online way before Facebook or Codes, all this, and I was practicing with people. So for me, since I was shy, chatting with people was better
Mm.
than live in person. So I was already doing that, being exposed to talking with Americans online and having
Mm.
classes. And then when I started teaching English, that
Mm.
helped me even more because
Mm.
I had Americans teaching at the school. So
Mm.
I was all the time learning how
Mm.
to speak with them, feel comfortable. So it was a little bit different. But yes, the
Mm.
first time I came to the US, it was like, not that I was like a shock. I was like, oh my God, I have to speak English all the time.
Oh.
Like, and then you're like, okay, no problem. You do well.
Yeah.
And now you have to remember you need to speak English here. You need to communicate. You cannot be shy. And the first time I came to the US, I was very shy. I did not like making conversation with the strangers. So,
Uh-huh.
but I think like moving here, that was not a shock. There was no language barrier. But
Mm.
pronunciation was something I struggle a little bit with my pronunciation here.
Mm.
and also slang terms, cultural references. So most of the conversation I will be like, who is that person? What is
Uh,
that? Because I
um,
noticed you guys use a lot of idiomatic expressions in the conversations. And I was like, what does that mean? And they
mm,
slang terms. So all the time I kept interrupting the conversation. What is that? What's that
mm,
word? What does it mean? But the good thing I was not shy. I was like, I gotta know what it is.
mm,
So I think what was different is that when you are learning, I think it all depends how you learn and how
mm,
much exposed you are when you are learning English from your home country. You gotta go out there, get out of your comfort zone, listen, practice
mm,
a lot of your listening and your speaking. These are the most important things, guys. Worry
mm,
about like writing later on. Just
mm.
focus on speaking and listening first. And
Yeah.
then, but coming here, I felt like I had to improve my conversation skills.
Mm,
I was practicing all the time. What am I gonna ask? What am I gonna answer if they ask me that? So I used to write it down some things before
mm,
going to a party, just to know
mm.
like I'm gonna make a conversation with these people. And Uber drivers, they were definitely the ones I was like, I'm gonna practice my English with them. What am I gonna ask them? Hi, hello, how's your day going? Do you work
Yeah.
full time or not? So I had like the questions prepared, and I
Yeah.
would just test if that person wanted to talk or not. So,
Mm,
so, but I felt like definitely was mostly idiomatic expressions, and I
mm,
felt like in
okay.
slang terms. But guys, for those of you who are learning English, don't be stressed with that. Once you move here, once you come to study here or to travel here and stay
Mm,
for a bit, you learn those things. Don't worry too
mm,
much about learning that, because some things we only gonna learn once we are here or
yeah.
interacting with Americans all the time. So, and
Yeah.
it is what it is. Like, but definitely slang terms, cultural references.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know who that person is? Have no idea, guys.
Mm, yeah.
Because
Like,
you're like,
yeah, I mean, even for like, for people who've been living in the U.S. for a long time, sometimes like if you're not like if they're talking about like basketball or
yeah,
something that we're not into, we still won't know like who's that person. I've never heard of that person.
I
What are you
know.
talking about? So I think one thing that for for people to know is that it's okay to not know because we feel like
Exactly.
as a foreigner we need to know everything that what people are saying, but it's not it's impossible to know
It's
everything.
impossible. And they appreciate you asking,
Yeah.
what is that? And they say, oh,
Mhm.
that's what it means. And then sometimes you can guess by the context too. If you have a pretty good understanding listening, you can guess by the context. But I would say something, since my listening was pretty good, I only had
Mhm.
to work on pronunciation and new vocabulary, slang term.
Mhm.
But I didn't really care much about that. And also, guys, there's some different accents here. Okay, I honestly different ways people speak. Now, I have a boss that she's from the south. She
Uh-huh.
speaks. Now I can tell the difference from her and someone from the northeast, from like New
Mhm.
Jersey or Philadelphia. They speak completely different. So you also have those regional words, vocabulary, and then you're only gonna learn if you are living here
Yeah.
and interacting. So
Yes. Yes.
nothing to worry about that. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a good point. Because I think there are certain words that you only like it's regional or like there's I
yeah.
think there's 30, if I'm not mistaken, there's 37 accents, I think, in the US alone. If I'm
Whoa.
not
So
mistaken. Yeah. Yeah.
and some most people think there's only one.
One.
So
Yeah.
that the neutral American accents, that
Mhm.
person work on
Mhm.
the accents, because if they have no accents, they did some classes like speech class, something like that, because
Yeah.
they do speak different. I can tell now, even the way of even like I feel like people from the south sometimes they like talking more. I like
Hmm.
more open.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think we worry too much when
Hmm.
we are learning another language. But I felt like this person learning Portuguese, they will not even know half of what I know. So like they would not even care if they
Uh,
were speaking Portuguese. They would like say like whatever, and I'll say why I need to speak perfect if they
right.
are
They're open.
like they are just doing their best. So,
Mhm.
but I feel like it definitely helped a lot to connect with people that were learning, also like
Mhm.
connecting with Americans that were trying to learn a different language too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
And then don't feel bad like if you don't, understand an accent or
yeah,
if you don't know like what you were saying, cultural references, because I think that's something that's hard to learn
yeah,
when you're living in another country. Like you learn that
yeah.
through, experience and
I know, like at
being
work
in the US.
sometimes, oh, you don't know that. Oh, you're too young. I said, no, I don't think it's the age. I think it's the country. Because there are some things that are so popular here. When
Yeah,
it's very, very, very popular,
yeah.
they are broadcast abroad. But if
Mhm.
it's not, it's just regional. So you're like, I
Yeah.
don't think we have that. No, I think that's an American icon. I don't know who that
Mhm.
person is. And that's
Yeah.
okay. You just tell them you don't know who they are.
Yeah. And I feel like when you ask questions, they're always willing to like tell you more about something. So
Oh, yes,
don't
for
be afraid to
sure.
ask questions and yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if I have to say something else, I think what is really important when you're moving and
Mm,
learning the language, adjusting to the, be open to learn new
mm,
things.
yeah.
Be open to the things that you were not willing to do, like working any job
Mm,
here to get some experience first.
mm. Mhm.
Um,
Good point.
and also, yeah, teaching people about your culture because, like, I feel like a lot of people come here, they forget where they come from. Like, do not forget where you come from. Americans, most of them don't know much about other countries, so that's your chance
Yeah.
to teach them about your culture. They're really curious. That's what I see. Like people are really curious.
Yeah. And I think that gives you that opportunity to use English and to connect
Yeah,
is tough.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a
yeah,
good point.
definitely.
I learned that the hard way, and
Ah,
um,
really?
yeah, and I think it's because also had to do, with the age that, when I first came to the US, it was a time where, I wanted to fit in and, I didn't want to be different and I didn't want to talk about
Oh, yes.
culture.
So you were younger. You were a kid.
I was younger, yeah,
Oh.
I was 7, so it was
Oh
a
no,
time.
it's completely different when we are kids. Yeah.
Yeah, and in high school, that's the time period where, you don't wanna stand out, you wanna, fit in and be accepted by your peers.
Yeah.
But I think things have really changed, now, and it's people are more open to learning about
Yes.
different cultures, and, so, yeah, I think it's easier now than back then.
Yes. I mean, there are more foreigners in the schools than American schools too. Like, how
Yeah,
many Brazilians are there? How many Taiwanese? How many Asians? You see
right,
like kids from all over the world. So like
right.
nowadays I feel like, okay, I have a, but like I don't understand what you went through because I was not a kid here, but it's a lot
Mhm.
of pressure for a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think every different age and different stages of your life, depending on also on what circumstances you're in. I think everybody goes through, more or less the
Yeah.
same kind of struggle, but just in different
Yes.
ways. Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah, but things get better. Yeah,
yeah,
I think
things do
eventually you
get
just learn
yeah,
how to
but
do things.
yeah.
Yes, for sure.
And you kind of learn to slowly be stronger inside and to
Oh
um,
my God, that's
you know,
yes.
Right. Be a stronger
That's
person. But yeah, I think you're
yeah,
right. I think now schools are, they introduce a lot of different cultures and, like
yeah.
heritage and they celebrate it in schools now more than when I was when I was in school. It's like, yeah, it was nothing like
Yeah, nowadays it is Heritage Month, Immigrant Month, and then
exactly.
yeah, they have all those family day instead of
Hmm.
dad's or mom's
Hmm.
day.
Yeah. Yeah, or
Um
like they ask kids to bring something from their culture or food or like a holiday
yeah, I
and like
mean that
talk
was
about it.
pretty yeah, oops. That was really nice like when I
Yeah.
was working at the I worked at a school for a bit. That was like one of my first
Mm-hmm.
jobs. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
as I said, sometimes you gotta get a job that you don't want it. But I learned a lot about that too, being around the kids and use English. I was like, they're learning those things. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm learning math through English. So I was like, I was a student, but I had to
Oh.
learn to
Uh-huh.
help them. So I was like, like learning how to do math in English. How do I say the symbols? So everything was like
Mm-hmm.
new for me. I learned so much.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I feel like working anywhere here will also help you with the language
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
skills.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think going through that, like what you were saying, doing sometimes you have to do something that you don't want to do or the
Yeah.
job or work. But I think that those are good experience, and
Yes.
they kind of help you later on, when you actually do find, because I think those difficult experiences also like help us become stronger and
It
uh,
does.
right? And
Yes.
like you said, you had to learn English for, to teach or
Oh
talk
my
about
God.
math. And so I think those are,
A lot of phrasal verbs. I've learned
oh
most
yeah.
of the phrasal verbs at the
Yeah.
school because the teacher put this away, put it
Uh,
down, clean up, and like being around young kids, like my
mhm,
friend's daughter. And I was
mhm.
like, oh, they use phrasal verbs even with the kids. And then I started realizing how many phrasal verbs because it's simpler language
Yeah.
for babies and kids.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was learning all of them in the school.
Right. Right. Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
I
like,
think idiomatic expression, slang, phrasal verb, those three are like very common in spoken English. And
yes, yes. But I think we worry so much about those things. Eventually said like, you know what? Whatever. They're gonna
mhm,
understand. It's something you're not gonna know everything.
right.
So yeah.
Yeah. All right. I was gonna ask you if you have advice or to give three advice to people considering moving to the US.
Okay.
So I think you mentioned one of them already, like to be open.
Yes.
Um,
To be open, and I think um things might not work out the way you expect. So I would say
mhm,
definitely have a plan B, C, or D, like thinking, okay, I'm planning to work in these fields, but just like if does not happen, just be open to get any job. Because what I notice about here is that as a foreigner, you might not be
mhm,
able to work in the same field as you were working
mhm,
as soon coming here, but just get any sort of job because it's gonna be value what you learn in that job, the skills you learn in that job, that
mhm,
eventually you could bring those skills to a job if you apply for a job. I don't know, at a company. So I work
mhm,
at a
mhm,
assistant, classroom assistant, and I thought that job helped me get my job at the college because of the skills. Because I
mhm,
was a teacher in Brazil too. That helped
mhm,
me.
mhm,
So we never take for granted everything that you're doing, everything that you're learning in
mhm,
any sort of job. Starbucks job can help you too, depending on what kind of skills you learn that. So they
mhm,
appreciate the skills you're learning in the job and not itself the job title. That's
mhm,
something I learned here and I start appreciating more.
mhm,
Um, And the other thing I would say is like, you're moving here, get all your credentials, all your degrees, your diplomas prepared before moving to the US. Okay. So if you got
Mm,
a degree, oh, I got a bachelor's in my home country, I got a master's, I got a certificate. Get your credentials evaluated through a evaluation company before leaving your home country. I realized I
mm,
needed those things here when I was looking for a job. So that took me quite some time because they
mm,
said, oh, this college? What does it mean? No, you need to make sure that the college you did in Brazil or in your home country will be accepted, will be equivalent to a bachelor's degree here in the US. So
mhm,
it's really important to do. I tell this to all of the students at the college. I say, do not forget, it's not because you were engineer there.
mm,
Do not forget that.
mm,
Those because that's what I did. I did my master's, my bachelor's, all evaluated. If I need to get a job that they asking for a master's, I can prove that I got a
mm,
master's. So
mm.
sometimes if you don't have money to go back to college because it's very expensive college in the US, you
Yeah.
don't need a degree to start working either if you
Mhm,
already have in your home country.
mhm. Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's a yeah, that's something that
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
found
know.
out the hard way. The hard
Uh,
way.
so did you when you say get what did you say get evaluated or is it the
Yeah,
validated from?
it's yeah, validate. It's just like a validation, but it
Mm.
needs to go through like there are a lot of companies who you can
Oh,
look evaluation or credential evaluation. Yeah, I think the name they give is credential evaluation, which is that
okay.
you're gonna get all your diplomas from your home country, translate that, gonna
Mm,
send to them, and they're gonna see what you studied in your home country is equivalent to what here is equivalent to a
mm,
bachelor's degree, and
mm,
mine were equivalent to a 4-year bachelor's degree. So
oh,
I could apply for jobs with more than a high school diploma.
mm, mhm,
So it's the same with the master's. My 2-year master's was like a year here.
okay.
So if a job is asking for a master's degree, I have how to prove I
Good.
got a master's.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's important. Sometimes we forget everything that we did in our home country is still valid here. They
Mhm,
just need to find equivalency. That's it.
mhm.
Yeah, I learned
Right.
the hard way, guys.
And you had to wait because you didn't have the that like
Yes, I was applying for
um,
jobs and they were looking, oh, we need your transcript.
yeah, they
And I
yeah,
was
they
like,
usually
what?
mm,
Yeah. My
mhm.
transcript? Yeah. And I brought out the translation. No, you gotta
Um,
get an evaluation done and
mhm,
translate and everything. And I was like,
mm,
and then like rushing, mom, just go to my college, get this and translate it and mail. So like it took me some time because it takes time. So if you're like
mm,
trying to find a job
yeah.
and you want to work maybe in education or work for a company and they see like, yeah, but I don't know, where did you study,
Mhm, mhm, mhm. Yeah.
you
Yeah, they
know, those
usually
kind of
want to
things.
do for
Yeah,
job for applying for jobs.
for jobs,
Even, I
applying
think
for
even
job.
for school, right? If you when you're trying to enter,
It's cool.
right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, even for school. I mean, I thought a lot of people were telling me, "Oh, you're not gonna be able to find a job without going back to school." And I was like, "I'm not going back to college again in order to
Mm,
get a job here. I am sorry."
mm,
And
mm,
honestly, you don't need it. If you did
mm,
everything in your country, you got your credentials accepted here, you can look for a job. I was like, I'm not going back
mm,
to college. I did everything. I did a master's. I took a certificate.
yeah.
No, those things gonna be valid here, and they were valid. They did not even ask for anything, and from the moment I put on my resume, boom,
Mm,
evaluated. That's all
mm,
they care. So yeah, I just wanted to give that because a lot of people don't think about those things. And that was very hard for me at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll save you a lot of time. and
I
and
took- yes. If you're desperate to get a job
yeah.
or, or it's tough, um, depending on where you're trying to look for a job. But definitely, I mean, I, I don't know. I really appreciate it. I wish I had like someone telling me all those things. So I'm glad I was able to share a little bit about my own experiences here
Yeah.
with people that were here and with people that will watch this later on. Yes.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Juliana. Before we end this, is there any projects that you're working on or anything that where can people find you? Anything you want to share? Take it away.
Yes, I mean we're still like my mom and I were definitely the English flavor chat
Mhm.
page. We are working on a video course. We're just like it's still like in the works. It
Uh-huh.
takes time, but definitely something that we want to put together and see to help more people.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, and I'm also working with the students here. At the other page, I open again the English with Brazilian flavor.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, with a different thing. I just want to focus on the people who are here in the U.S. in New Jersey who are
Okay.
learning English.
So the English flavor, wait, English
Chat.
flavor chat, that's for you mainly work with Brazilian speakers learning English, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We first started with Brazilians, but this is mostly for people who are they have been learning English for quite some time. They still don't feel comfortable having conversation with people. So that's what the English flavor chat is
Mhm.
about. Like really help these people to improve their conversation skills and to build a little bit more confidence.
Mhm.
Um, and I came back again with the English BR flavor
Uh-huh.
because I felt like I wanted to do something different. I
Mm.
was teaching a lot of Brazilians who speak no English here,
In the
and I
US.
was in the U.S. and in New Jersey or Philadelphia, and I thought like maybe
Mhm.
I tried to come back with the same page, but it was not available anymore, so I had to start from scratch,
Uh-huh.
which is fine. And then
Uh-huh.
now I'm doing like bilingual videos, Portuguese and
Um,
English. So it's mostly for beginners. So this is
mhm.
something that I want to try to reach more here, help more these people, Brazilians who
Mhm.
are here and
Mhm.
don't speak English at all.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then
Yeah.
I'll put both of the and you're on Instagram and you're also on WhatsApp as well?
I'm on Instagram. Oh, you mean like on Instagram?
On
Yeah.
social media, Instagram and WhatsApp, right? You're on.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, okay, I'll leave all the information down in the description so that people
Okay.
can find you.
Yeah, yeah. You can just put it Instagram. Yeah,
Instagram.
because
Okay, I'll
WhatsApp
put
is
both
more.
of your
Yeah.
pages on
All
Instagram.
right. Thanks a lot. It was nice. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I know you're busy and you're taking your time to do this. And
No, but I
I'm
was like, oh, I miss so much doing lives. I'll definitely, yeah, we'll see because my mom and I we are trying to go back doing lives, and this time we want to be doing with other teachers too. So maybe
ah, mm,
I had you in my mind. I said, Mom, we got to do one with her too.
okay.
So
All right, let me know
yeah,
when I'll be there.
okay, all right. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so
and
much, Juliana. All right, take care.
see ya. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.